I'm going to tell you why I bought a 10-year-old camera in 2022. The Canon T4i. This camera has an 18 megapixel self-cleaning APS-size sensor with face detection and tracking and 9 autofocus points. I'm very familiar with the Rebel line of cameras, or I like to call them the TI line of cameras. We shot Epitaph, Bread and Salt, as well as The Perfect Letter. I should say part of those films were shot with the Canon T3i. On Epitaph, Bread and Salt, we used 3 cameras, the 5D Mark II, the 7D, and the T3i. Those cameras all matched up very well, looked really nice. And the one thing I can say about Canon, people talk about their color science. Canon is the one camera that I know out of the box, you get that great look. You can literally take it out the box, shoot some things, maybe do a little bit of color correction and edit, you're done. You have a great look. It's, this is something that people talk about a lot with Canon, but we're not going to be talking about the video. The reason I bought this camera was because I needed something for photography, and just photography. This camera was the sweet spot between the newer stuff and the older stuff. And when I say the sweet spot, I mean the amount of money I wanted to pay for what I was getting. Now, when these cameras first came out, these were $800 cameras. You can find them now for around $200 on eBay. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, depending on kits. So they'll come with the lens, the batteries, the chargers, all those things. Really, I had a lot of that stuff, so I really just needed the body. Another thing about this camera is I can share lenses. If I buy EF lenses, not EFS lenses, but EF lenses, I can use them with this camera, as well as my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and I can just switch between the two. So that's something I like. And generally, this camera just takes amazing pictures. And bang for the buck, this camera can be used professionally, but if you're a hobbyist or someone who's just getting into photography and you don't want to pay like an exorbitant price, you can grab this, and still get quality images that can be used for almost anything you want to do. This camera has touch to focus as well as focus peaking. So if I am having problems with the autofocus, just switch it in the manual and just go from there. Use the focus peaking and it's fine. In burst mode, this camera can do 22 shots in JPEG format, 6 in RAW. And as stated, it has touch to focus and 8 custom functions. If you're looking for something to do video, particularly if you're trying to vlog or something like that, might not be the camera for you. The autofocus is slow, the video is kind of soft, so you may want to go with something else if you're looking for an all-around camera. Even with this is one of the STM lenses, autofocus is still slow. It's silent, but it's slow. And even for video, particularly if you're behind the camera, you can really make this work, but with everything that's out today, this might not be the camera you want to buy. I would probably say my 5R is better for video than this is, and that's simply because of the autofocus and things like that. Like I said, it takes EF and EFS lenses. Now the difference is that an EF lens has this. This is the way the bottom is, and this fits cameras like the 5D Mark II and the 7D, cameras like that. Those more expensive high-end cameras, this fits on those. But that will also fit on this. But the lenses made for this camera have this little piece in here. So I couldn't put this on a 5D or one of the higher end cameras. And I think that's something they did to try to separate the high end cameras from the low end cameras. So you couldn't buy the cheaper EFS lenses and use them on the bigger, more expensive cameras. So, Canon does stuff like every camera company does stuff like that to protect the bigger, their bigger line of cameras. That's the one thing I'll say about Panasonic. Panasonic, they have Micro Four Thirds cameras. They have the expensive ones, the cheaper ones, and if it's a Micro Four Thirds lens or a Micro Four Thirds system, it's a Micro Four Thirds system. It doesn't matter. With this, they're bigger you know, they have the EF lens, the EFS lens, the the EOS M lenses, and now they have the lenses for the 5R and all those. So these EF and EFS lenses are very common. You can find them a lot of times. You can find them very cheap. I saw the other day, I saw the 10 to 18 for, I think it was $129 on eBay. And I saw one that was like just $90, you know, and I was actually thinking about getting that for the Blackmagic. But getting things for this camera, whether it's a grip, whether it's a lens, any of that stuff, it's usually inexpensive. I mean, you can grab these. I think this grip cost me $20-some. You can grab this stuff for very small prices and have yourself a whole little photography kit and just kind of build it as you go along. If you're starting out and you want to get into professional photography, you can start out with one of these. If you're a hobbyist or just an amateur, or you just want to buy a gift for somebody who's getting into photography, you can grab one of these. It's very inexpensive. Now, when you start getting into like the T5i, the T6, T7, all those newer cameras, you're actually going to start paying some more money. You're going to start paying about $300, $400, $500 for those cameras, which if you have that kind of money, you know, no reason for you to not do it. I think the new Rebel cameras are 4Ks, but if you're just looking for something to do photography with, I really think you should check out one of these cameras. Again, this came out in 2012. So if you're looking for a camera that takes great photos but won't break the bank and has an inexpensive ecosystem, check out the Canon T4i. If you have a little bit more money to spend, you might want to check out some of the newer models, the T5, T6, T7. You can check those out as well. Get what you can afford with the features that suit you. So other than that, guys, you take it easy. Nathan Brandon Masters, Asta.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire